Hi everyone, welcome to JustFeg Network TV, a place where you can get the latest information on things happening around the world, and you are in the right place. Please click the red subscribe button and also press the bell icon next to it so you can be notified for an update on any published news. World Bank and IMF fought Nigeria's economic recovery claim. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund on Wednesday faulted Nigeria's economic recovery claim and listed Nigeria among some African countries with weak economic recovery. The World Bank stand was contained in the 28th edition of African Pulse, the World Bank's twice-yearly economic update for the region. The bank stated, "Beyond sub-Saharan Africa's regional averages, the picture is mixed. The recovery in Nigeria, South Africa, and Angola, the region's three largest economies, has remained weak and is weighing on the region's prospects. In Nigeria, growth in the non-oil sector has been sluggish, while in Angola, the oil sector remained weak. In South Africa, low investment sentiment is weighing on economic activity. Excluding Nigeria, South Africa, and Angola, growth in the rest of the subcontinent is expected to remain robust, although slower in some countries." On its own part, the IMF said that the economic outlook for Nigeria under the current policies of government remained challenging. It stated this in a statement issued on Wednesday after the IMF team led by the mission chief for Nigeria, Aminu Mati, visited Lagos and Abuja from September 25th to October 7th. They held discussions with senior government and central bank officials on economic and financial development as well as reform implementation. It also met with representatives of the banking system, the private sector, and international development partners. Martin noted that a slow economic recovery was continuing with falling inflation rates, while external buffers were declining in the face of increased portfolio outflows. He said elevated fiscal deficit currently relied on the Central Bank of Nigeria's finance. This, he said, was complicating monetary policy. The rate of inflation, according to him, will likely pick up in 2020 following rising minimum wages and a higher VAT rate despite a tight monetary policy. Mati said a comprehensive package of measures whose design and implementation will require close coordination within the economic team and the newly appointed Economic Advisory Council is urgently needed to reduce vulnerabilities and raise growth. He stressed the need to maintain a tight monetary policy through more conventional tools. The IMF chief pointed out that there was a need for the introduction of longer-term government instruments to mop up excess liquidity and move towards a uniform market-determined exchange rate. He said the pace of economic recovery remains slow, has depressed private consumption and investors' wait-and-see attitude kept growth in the first half of the year at 2%, a rate significantly below population growth. Headlines inflation has fallen, reaching its lowest level since January 2016, helped by lower food price inflation, spurred by one-off increases in imports. The current account turned into a deficit in the first half of 2019 after 3 years of surpluses. Thanks to all my viewers today. So guys, I believe everyday Nigerian money is reducing, and also it's reducing its value too. And as we can see, we don't have enough money in the country anymore because one person will carry all the money, other people will be suffering. That is our country for you. And one thing that I notice in the country is that the poorer are getting poor every day and the richer are getting rich every day. which is a bad government. And we really appreciate the International Monetary Fund for their comments. So it means that we are progressing every day. And I believe that all countries that have done well for themselves have always defied International Monetary Fund too. This is because they are set up to benefit the Western countries and not developing countries like us. So we are still suffering in Nigeria. So guys, why won't our economy be poor when we have corrupt leaders all over the place? The so-called mighty Buhari himself that says he's not corrupt, we can see from all his ministers. They themselves, they are corrupt. Because if Buhari is not, he won't be appointing all the corrupt leaders to his cabinet. And because they are corrupt, there is nothing they can offer to the economy of Nigeria than to make it worse. So I'm not surprised that the World Bank is saying this. We all know this already. So we don't need the World Bank to even tell us that our economy is weak. Not only weak, it is very, very bad. We should just pray and hope that all these bad cabals, all these bad corrupt leaders will allow somebody that is not corrupt to really rule Nigeria so as to make our Nigeria a world-class economic nation. Well, for example now, we don't have anything in Nigeria that can generate money into the country. And Buhari is making matter worse every day because people are really suffering. So just imagine a bag of rice is 25,000, while the minimum wage itself is 18,000. So tell me, how can people really cope with that? So instead of making things better, our leaders are making things worse for us. Of course, we have to believe them because our economic policies are not effective at all. Our economic policy is reducing every day, and I don't think we can meet up with other countries. In Nigeria, the growth in the non-oil sectors has been sluggish. It has been so weak, and not only in the non-oil sector, even in the oil sector too. And also in our money exchange between some countries and our home countries. We can see that the exchange rate is so high. Those things could actually affect Nigeria too. Look at in Angola and South Africa, they said the oil sector remained very weak too. You can imagine that. And the IMF says something that there is a slow economic recovery with falling inflation rates, and the international buffers were reducing in the face of rising portfolio outflow. Nigerian government should not allow the importing of unnecessary items such as toothpicks, rice, and some irrelevant things that Nigeria doesn't need. And also Nigerians are full of knowledge. Most of these things, we can produce it ourselves in Nigeria. So why are they allowing those things to be imported into the country? And also, I don't think they have any foresight on what to do than just to embezzle money. Because if they do, Buhari has spent 4 years already, and is spending the second leg of his 4 years, and yet nothing to show for it. Everything is just worse, it's becoming worse every day. No good road. Up till now, there is no steady electricity. There is no single thing Nigeria can produce themselves. We import everything. So how can a country survive in importing everything? Starting from food, cars, just name it, anything. There is no country that can survive through that. It's not possible. Such country cannot survive through that. We allow other country to dominate us. And we're expecting the Nigeria economy to be better. It's not possible. So guys, what do you think about this news? Kindly drop your comments below. Click on the subscription button and also press the bell icon to get updated whenever I upload news.